Okay. Hi, everyone. Thanks for being here again. Today, I'm here with Gary Kaminski. Hi, Gary.
Hello.
Thanks for being here. And
Nice.
thank you for talking with us today.
Okay.
Yeah,
Should be fun.
I'm really excited to talk with you and hear some more about your work. And we've known each other. I mean, we've passed each other for what, maybe 6 years now or something like
Yeah.
that, kind of
Yeah.
in the same circles.
hmm
Has it been about that long?
It feels like it, but
Yeah.
I can't keep track, so
Oh,
I'm gonna
okay.
go with what you remember.
Yeah, I just want people to know that we kind of hang in the same circles, and but we haven't really chatted or anything like this to extent. So thank you for being here. And so let me read your
Welcome.
bio and just let people know a little bit about you. Okay.
Yep.
Okay. By day, Gary is a full-time technical writer and has been for over 30 years. In his off hours, he completed certification training as a hypnotist from the National Guild of Hypnotists in 2011. He completed Dolores Cannon's quantum healing hypnosis technique, QHHT training, levels 1 and 2 in 2011. A QHHT session provides an opportunity to connect with past lives, other dimensions, and higher self. He has done extensive research on the extraterrestrial phenomena. He is also a co-facilitator of the Oregon UFO Encounters Meetup support group since 2012. Okay, awesome. So being a fellow hypnotist, I myself know how incredibly transformational hypnosis can be, not on a personal level, and also working with other people, right?
hmm
So thank you for being one of these people that helps helps the community with uncovering maybe lost memories or memories that might be difficult for us to look at a certain time. I
Right.
appreciate that. Yeah. So what drew you to hypnosis? Can you share a little bit about that?
There's quite a backstory to it, and I'll give you the short version. My wife Sandra and I used to go to an informal gathering. In fact, it was called the Gathering. Wally Johnston facilitated it, and at that gathering once a month, he would present information that he found. And one of the things he presented was a video with Dolores Cannon speaking. And it was like it was at that meeting where a light bulb went off, and it had to do with consciousness basically. I was always interested in consciousness in general, but to be able to use hypnosis as a means of focusing concentration and producing a desired outcome, that really interested me. And her take was, I think this particular video we watched was on her work with UFO um, encounters, people
Mm-hmm.
with UFO encounters, and I liked her approach. So I went forward, but I didn't necessarily go to Dolores Cannon first. I thought I wanted to get into hypnosis, learn about hypnosis from the, let's call it the more clinical side of things.
Mm-hmm.
So that's where I ended up with the National Guild of Hypnotists. And it was a 175-hour course that I took with Jeffrey Knight, Knightsbridge Institute.
Mm-hmm.
And once I started getting comfortable with the mechanics, things that were involved with it, and it involved everything from stop smoking, weight loss, the typical things.
Mm-hmm.
That's when I felt I was ready to go into what I would call more of the spiritual hypnosis side of things. And that's when I took Dolores Cannon's training. So,
Nice.
yeah.
Nice. Yeah. Can you I mean, I know who Dolores Cannon is. I have read tons and tons of her books, and she has I don't know how many books, I can't even count, but I really enjoy the Convoluted Universe series as well. But can you share a little bit about Dolores Cannon for maybe people that don't know who she is?
What what I remember of her was that back in the 60s, she was a hypnotist doing the stop smoking and the weight reduction. And she was asked, I guess she was asked if she would get into work with some UFO, I'm going to call them abductees or experiencers. I
Mhm.
think experiencers is the preferred term for a lot of people. So she started working with experiencers, and over time, she developed her technique, but also I think she got into past life first,
Mhm.
as I remember correctly.
Mhm.
She eventually then got into developed her technique, the quantum healing hypnosis. And there was another thought I was going to mention. Oh, but what I liked about her, and also another Schwartz, was it Journey of Souls author, um,
Michael Newton.
Michael Newton.
Yeah.
What I liked about, they both had similar encounters, and that was like Michael Newton was working with a person and he couldn't get to the root cause of an issue, and he made a statement, go back to the point in time where this issue first manifested, and the person started talking about a past life. And I think something similar happened to Dolores Cannon, where she wasn't necessarily digging for past life,
Mhm.
but that's where they had to go to work on an issue. I
Mhm.
liked that. I liked how they stumbled onto it. And then Dolores went on to, um, from her clients, she would be getting information. And she was a good curiosity person, a good reporter person. She would ask questions, and she would be getting information on past times, and she started recording them all. That's where her book started to evolve. And same
Mhm.
with Michael Newton. He wrote his book based on the, let's call it, testimony under hypnosis. So I think that in a nutshell, that's where Dolores kind of evolved into writing her books and
Yeah.
developing her technique. Did I remember it correctly by your memory also?
Yes, yes,
Okay.
totally. That's what I remember as well. Is
Yeah.
she started with regular hypnosis, then past lives, and then this information just started coming out. And as she grew, her clients' information grew, right,
Mhm.
into the area of extraterrestrials and things like that,
Right.
and those types of communications. And she, from what I remember, her. I mean, she's on the other side now, but um, is that she was very basic with her questions.
Mhm.
she and so she learned so much through her clients, and because she's from Arkansas, and she's just uh, everyday Joe or Jane like you and me, and
Mhm.
and grew and had to, and she was chosen to disseminate all this information for us. And she must have at least 30 books. Yeah, yeah. I mean, from Nostradamus to walking with Yeshua, with Jesus, all kinds of star people, things like that. Really good stuff. So,
Mhm.
okay, thank you, thank you. Can you share a little bit about what you have discovered in your extraterrestrial research? That type of area, because I know that you said that are you an avid researcher when it comes to the uh, the weird, strange?
Well, weird and strange. No, I'm going to give you another little a little thing about me, and that is, I, being that I'm a technical writer, I am trained to be left-brained, and I feel my purpose in life is to be a bridge between, let's call it, just conventional thinkers
Mhm.
and the non-conventional thinkers. Let's call them woo-woo. I've heard you use that term before. I like
I'm
that term
proud to be
also.
woo woo. Yeah.
Yeah, and I would say that I have a foot in both worlds, and that I can be a bridge to both worlds. So just to give you a couple little analogies, that is, if I take a flash picture and I see what some people would call orbs,
Mhm.
I don't immediately say they're orbs. My left
Mhm.
brain says, well, wait a minute. Now, could that be a bug? Could that be a piece of dust? And then the lights in the sky. I've been to a city, um, and I look up and I see lights passing over the sky. And some people, are saying there's a UFO and it's powering up. And I'm thinking, well, wait a minute. Why did all the UFOs stop at 11 p.m.? The sun didn't set up there until about 11 p.m. And those satellites that are up there might be catching, their solar panels on the sun, which might look to us like power up. So that's my left brain side.
Mm-hmm.
And that doesn't mean I don't believe in UFOs and I don't believe in orbs. I
Mm-hmm.
just still have that logical part of me that keeps going.
Right.
So that logical part of me that keeps going, I think allows me to relate to, well, I'm in a software company with a bunch of technical geeks. So I still have my, let's call woo-woo side of me. And on occasion, I'll say my things, my beliefs to some of my coworkers, and they'll look at me little funny. But it allows them to, well, wait a minute, maybe there's more out there than just double blind. I got to see it to believe it, kind of a deal. So a little bit of background about what,
Yeah.
where I'm at, where I come from. So when you ask, am I an avid researcher? I am. I've read many books. I can't count the number of books, but I look at them also from that left brain side. It's like, oh, wait a minute. I only saw one person talk about this one phenomena. I'm going to put that on the back burner. But these other 5 people all are saying the same thing. So I'm going to give that, some credibility.
Mm-hmm.
So that's the left brain research side of myself. But then there's the spiritual aspect. I am Cancer, star sign, so supposedly sensitive and intuitive. That's been mostly trained out of me, male, in a mere materialistic world, but it's not totally gone. So that spiritual side of me has allowed me to have experiences, and they are experiences, not just reading. So I've got the left brain full of stuff, and then I've had out of body experience, lucid dream experience, recall, past life. So I've had those to help me round out, for myself to get a bigger picture. So not just left brain research, but also experiential
Right.
input to give me what I call my reality.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, I think that's important. And I know in my research, I try to be as neutral as possible because I'm also a researcher, and I try to be as neutral as possible and look at it from, like you said, bring the left brain part into it. Okay, does this make sense? It doesn't mean that science has to prove it or anything like that. But is there a possibility that this could be it, and this could happen? And then I use my intuition and I use all that together, and that I think that's important. So I'm glad you brought that up as well. Yeah, yeah. I had a thought there for a second, but that's okay. Doesn't matter. Okay, so with your research, you were talking about experiences. Can you share some of your experiences?
Well, I live with an experiencer, my wife, and and she has had experiences while we've been together, and we've had some what I would call shared experiences, but mine are from not the one that's dealing directly with ET. Mine are from the one who gets turned off. So if one particular memory comes to mind, and that was we're in bed, both asleep. She's having something that's very disturbing, a visitation, whatever it is, I don't remember. She eventually was able to wake me up enough that in my mind, I knew she was distressed, and I was trying to think about what do I do, but in my mind, I heard like this voice. It was just a thought, not in my ear, but just a thought. The thought was, this is her experience. She's going to be okay. Go back to sleep. And I went back to sleep. And she complains often that she could, rouse me, but I will not wake up because they've got me shut off.
Mm-hmm.
That's one experience. There's one other experience I remember. And again, this is mostly started from her encounter. And maybe she'll recall this if you get a chance to talk to her about these things.
Mm-hmm.
But in our UFO group, we meet people, we meet experiencers, and Sandra will help other experiencers, a peer one-on-one kind of a thing. And I think at one point, someone she was working with one-on-one, I think, I'm going to say her people, this person or her person's handler. I
Mm-hmm.
think that person's handler wanted to make sure that Sandra and I weren't going to derail her life's purpose in any way. This is my thought, my theory.
Mm-hmm.
What goes with that is one morning we both woke up during this time period when Sandra was engaging with this person. We both woke up with nosebleeds. Now, first off, what's the chance of that?
Right.
Um,
Yeah.
and mine pretty much went away, but hers was persistent. But what I believe is that we were tracked, an
Mm-hmm.
implant,
Right.
to make sure that so that we would be monitored by this other person's handler
Mm-hmm.
and making sure that we're doing the right thing. This is just
Yeah.
a theory, but it's based on that. And there's a little bit more with Sandra's nosebleed. I'll let her tell that side of it
Right.
someday on
Yeah.
her own. So
Yeah.
anyway, those are two, where I'm on the side kind of a deal. Also,
Uh-huh.
I support Sandra when she does have experiences and she's dealing with fear. Um, I'll get phone calls, there'll be something that might trigger her. Like one time it was just a blue light on her cell phone. She was out having dinner with some friends. The blue light triggered her, um, like a PTSD memory. And um, I had to stay on the phone with her and talk her home. So
Yeah. Yeah.
I'm on the sidelines for the
Right.
most part on a lot of that.
Yeah. Part of her support system.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Yeah. I can totally relate to, so, and by the way, we will talk to Sandra. We have Sandra scheduled next month. So those of you that are watching, hopefully we will be able to talk with her and hear some of her stories as well, her experiences. So I can relate to what you said about you being turned off with my experiences. And because I actually, when this happens to me, I'm outside myself in a way. And so I see that either my partner in bed or someone in the room with me, it's usually just one person, is switched off. And that's a good way to put it, because I used a different term, and it was just like put in stasis is what I would call it. And so switched off is a good term. And so I would see where they would do something and that person would just like, just kind of go into that state of not awareness or asleep kind of sort of thing.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, basically.
Yep.
So that makes total sense with what I've seen and experienced. I love that you confirmed that for me. Yeah. Yeah. And being triggered is another confirmation for me where little things will trigger me. And I'm going through a process now where I'm able to, I've been bringing memories up and able to see them physically with my eyes, because it was so terrifying for us as children, or whenever they would come and we'd be with them, because they're not like us. So how terrifying is that? And so now I'm in my out of body experiences. You talked about having out of body experiences. In my out of body experiences, I'm able to see them getting further along, seeing them closer and closer to what they pretty much kind of look like. Yeah. Or they're, the form that they communicate with us in, or they work with us in. So yeah, I can understand the triggering thing. Definitely.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. Yeah. So, can you tell us about your encounters group and I'm sure it helps a lot of people, because I used to be part of it when Dawn when Don ran it. Yeah. And so if you could just share for people that maybe want a group to talk to, or maybe they don't know who to talk to about their experiences and they've had experiences with these types of things, if you could share, and maybe they could, and I'll have your information down below, but you know, to where people can talk to other people that doesn't look at them like, whoa, you know.
Right.
Yeah.
I think that's the biggest one right there. It is a place of non-judgment, and people come in and out. We have some regulars that are there, but basically a lot of times we just have new people. For me as a facilitator or co-facilitator with my wife Sandra, it's an observation and synchronicity. It's just amazing who comes. Like 2 new people will come, they will connect with each other, share stories with each other, and go away feeling like they've had a lighter load. So from a
Right.
facilitator point of view, that's just a nice thing, a beautiful thing to watch. But we've had people come in where I think their lives have actually been changed. One person came into the group who wasn't very functional, having trouble with life in general, and not and was in denial of even having these experiences, because to admit that this person was having these experiences was to enter into a very frightening world.
Yeah.
But by being in this group, and this person didn't share for years, just sat quietly observing. And at one point I asked this person, well, what are you getting from this group? And the person said, I feel normal when I'm here.
Wow.
And eventually the person came to terms with, yes, these are experiences that the person's having, and the person was able to share little tidbits. And the person became more functional in their life when they started incorporating these scary experiences and integrating them into life, to where, yeah, they're scary, but I'm still here. They're not hurting me. So life goes on. And so I think one of the big things that people come away with is, I feel normal when I'm here. I can talk about things, like you said, talk about things that in the outside world you might be put in a straitjacket.
Yeah.
There are things you don't say to, let's say, conventional therapists.
Right.
Some conventional therapists who will say you're having delusions because they don't know about the phenomena, whatever it is. So, and people have to be, what's the word? Wary isn't the word I'm looking for, but you have to be on guard with who you do share.
Careful.
Right.
Yeah.
So the group, provides, like you say, it's a safe place to share. Over the years, the group we don't talk about lights in the sky much at all. This isn't a MUFON, at 10:35 from the Southwest. We don't get into that level of conversation.
Yeah.
It might come up, but it's not our focus. That's where MUFON can help, the Mutual UFO Network. They can help people that are interested in that aspect. We're less about lights in the sky and more about who's in those ships and why are they in those ships. That's where our focus is. And the focus is definitely on a spiritual level. Because a lot of the UFO encounters, the experiences, they are having let's say, not just a physical experience, but also a spiritual experience.
Right.
So we get into the nature of reality as often as we'll talk about an ET at the corner of my bed. So
yeah, that's nice. That's good. I totally agree. I mean, the lights in the sky thing, I kind of think that ship has sailed, where so many, everyone has a camera, and so there's if you don't really believe that there's something else out there, you're not paying attention.
Yeah.
Yeah. And so, you know, whether it's extraterrestrial or interdimensional, or maybe even, you know, earthly, there's still something up there, and it could be, and I feel it's a mix of all of it. So yeah.
Yeah, same here. And we get into that. We've talked about the MyLab, which is the military. I forgot what MyLab stands for. Someone coined that phrase, but it's basically abductions by the military.
Right.
And in the early days, my understanding was ET would come and take someone, and then the military would take that same person to find out what ET wanted with that person. So
Yeah.
I'm not sure how much of that still goes on, but
yeah,
I think it does.
Yeah. The truth is coming out, you know, slowly but surely. It has to, right? We're moving into a new dawn, and so it has to. Yeah. I remember what I wanted to mention. You had talked about nosebleeds, and I've been shown and told and feel, and every once in a while it's just excruciatingly itchy for me and painful. I have a implant somewhere up here, right around here. So
I'm trying to figure out what side. That's on your left side?
This is my left side.
Yeah, that's where, that seems to be common.
Is it? Okay, I did not know that.
Excuse me. And that's where mine and Sandra's nosebleed was the days that we had the same one. It was both on the left side.
Wow. Yeah, that's news to me. I did not know that. Yeah, but every once in a while, it's just excruciatingly, it's like it's vibrating so hard, and I'm like, oh, I just want to dig it out of there, take it out of there, because it's just so, you know, it's really bad. But yes, it's a new. I'm not going to say new world, but it is a new world. It is a new world. Yeah, and so we're waking up, and we're becoming more and more aware of that there's so much more out there than just us. I always say, if we think that we're the most intelligent species in the universe, we're not really that smart. So
the other thing I do with, I guess, my left brain thing is when people a lot of times talk about ET, there's a tendency to talk about them, meaning those ET. And what I've come to understand is there's a lot more than those.
Yeah.
Meaning that grays are popular and reptilian are popular. And sometimes that's all people. And then the Pleiadians come into it, the Nordic, the tall white. People tend to focus on just that handful. Although Clifford Stone talked about being in the military, talked about he was given a book that had 64 known species that secret government dealing with, and that was back in the 60s. So that was 64 known then. That was actually written down for people like Clifford Stone to read, and to, if you encounter one of these, don't give them water, it'll kill them, things like that.
Yeah. Wow.
So, and he was involved with crash site recoveries of victims of crash sites.
Wow.
So that's a good name to look up for people that are interested. But my feeling is that we tend to forget that it's not just a handful of these that are dealing with humans, and that there are good people, there are good humans and bad humans, there are good ETs, there are bad ETs, even of the same species. They could be good grays and grays that aren't as good as the others as far as taking good care of their human encounter people. So I keep my mind open, and when people are narrowly focusing or attributing certain characteristics to, like, reptilian. In fact, I remember saying, we had a person come into our UFO group, and I had this impression that this person was dealing with reptilian. It was like an intuition. I wasn't even consciously thinking of it at the time, but all I remember is saying, well, reptilians need love too. Meaning that they need to be understood and acknowledged as you know, not just bad guys in all cases.
Still part of God's creation.
If you want to put it that way, yeah, yep. So anyway, I tend to try to keep an open mind when talking with people. I try not to put things in a real narrow or tight box. I'd like to keep it loose. So that's just my approach to you know, working with people. I don't, if someone's telling me a story, I don't try to fit them into a box, is
Right.
what I'm trying to say.
Sure.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's really important. And I think there's a lot of misinformation out there too in the UFO world as well, that all grays are bad or all reptilians are bad and all this and all that. And I know that, well, you know, my sister and I take orb photos and we get all kinds of anomalies in our photos, and we're able to see so many different types of beings in these photos. Not just in orbs, but in, you know, spirit mist and energy clouds, and you know, in all kinds of ways that they can manifest in the camera, because they're in that ultraviolet light spectrum that we can't see with our eyes normally. And so it just helped me understand, like what you're saying, Gary, that there are so many beings on this planet, or in our space, or in our frequency, you know, the different frequencies that we can't really see and we're not aware of. I mean, look at all the different species that we can see and are aware of. And so it goes on and on and on. But my experience with, you were talking about grays, my experience with that, the grays that helped me when I was a child were very helpful to me. And whenever I think about them or talk about them, I feel a wash over my heart center. I feel loving, and I got goosebumps just talking about them. I feel a loving presence from them. And they were about my height when I was a little girl. So, you know, there's just so many beings, like you said. Yeah. I just wanted to comment when you were talking about how you can't, a lot of people aren't able to talk to the people around them. It can be their family, it can be their workplace, you know, their friends, because they, you know, because I can totally relate to that with my experiences, and when I started remembering my experiences, because I spent a week in the psych ward. So everyone, you know, my family was very worried about me. I didn't know what was going on. I mean, it was very intense, so I wouldn't want anyone to go through that. But although I will say a week in the psych ward is like a vacation.
Could be. All right, I'll take your word for that.
Yeah, but I mean, not so much in the beginning. But it's just more people are coming out. I'm finding, have you found that more people are talking about it, talking about their experiences? And if you I kind of mention it offhand to somebody, you know, about a UFO or whatever, they'll say, you know, I saw something really weird. Do you find that happening as well?
Well, being in that UFO group, obviously they found
Yeah.
us. So, you know, I see that. But as far as out there in the world, now in my environment, my work environment, I would say no.
Okay.
The few times I kind of joked with a person one time, he had a poster with a picture of a UFO on it, and it says, "I want to believe."
From
And
X-Files.
yeah, and I
Yeah.
didn't know this person. He was just new to the hallway. And I poked my head in and said, "Oh, I like your poster." And he kind of, you know, smiled. I said, "I've had the drivers of one of those in my living room one time." And it was like he was in shock. It's like, "Oh my God, people actually believe this stuff." But you know, every once in a while, I like to just kind of pull someone's chain. But there have been times when I've done that kind of a, you know, silly remark, and someone will actually, you know, so then it'll
Oh, good.
open the
Yeah.
door for them to talk about something like
Right.
that. Yeah.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. I think people, most people who have had experiences and haven't talked about it just need a door, you
Yeah.
know, they just need someone to say, you're not crazy. It's happening to a lot of people. Yeah.
hmm And the same, I mean, so that's the UFO phenomena. The same goes with spiritual, what I'm going to call spiritual kinds of topics,
Yeah.
um, meaning past life and out of body, lucid dreams. There are people that and I can relate a story. I was a facilitator for a hospice training. We trained people to become hospice volunteers. And in that training, there was a person who was a veteran. And that veteran had a traumatic experience on the battlefield where he actually left his body and watched his mates being, picked off one by one. When he lived with that for, I don't know, 20 or 30 years, not knowing what happened to him, thinking that he was, he was losing his mind or lost his mind.
Hmm. Hmm.
Um, and when he was in our training, he was able to sit with someone during, we would do little exercises. He got to sit with someone who, no, actually someone did a talk at that training about out of body, meaning at end of life, people might have this experience.
Hmm.
Just be aware. You don't have to believe it, just be aware. It's a good thing for a hospice volunteer to know about, even if it's
Sure.
not in your belief system.
Sure.
So when he heard someone talk about an out of body experience, it's like his whole world changed. You said, you mean other people do that? You mean I'm not crazy? I've, carrying this burden for 30 years, and I don't think he told even his psychiatrists through his PTSD
Wow.
therapy. So it's a matter of having an ear, a sympathetic ear, and especially someone who can relate to what you're saying. It can be life-changing.
Yes.
So I kind of switch gears a little bit from the ET to other, other things.
Oh no, that's
Yeah.
totally fine. That's very true.
Mhm.
And that's that door, right? And who knows, maybe if you would have come across someone earlier, then it wouldn't have, everything happens for a reason and it's time and place, right? But yeah, that's awesome. I love
Yeah, I've
that.
had, and even with my with the QAHT sessions, so people are coming to me because they are curious about their past lives,
Hmm.
and they want to see what that's all about.
Hmm.
I've had people, I've had two people that I don't think were in the UFO phenomena at all. Yet in their session, they started to imagine. I'm going to use the word imagine. I don't like to use the word visual. Well, I don't like to use the word see. It
Hmm.
gives the impression that people are hallucinating and they're
Right.
not under hypnosis. It's just like a daydream. So
Yeah.
let's just say that a person starts to have a daydream about, um, well, I'll relay this one particular daydream. This person was reliving. They saw themselves on the top of a rocky hill, and on this rocky hill, there was a pile of rocks, and there was a young child playing with the rocks. So we've got a round hilltop with a roundish kind of a platform. And when I started, asking more questions, this lady said, "Well, wait a minute, that's not a little boy. That's an ET, and that's not a pile of rocks. That's a control panel."
Mm.
So the person now found themselves on a ship, meaning they're remembering
Hmm.
um, being on the ship with the ET,
Hmm.
and it was a shock. The person like, what is this? So because of my background and total comfort with the topic, I was able to lead that person into accepting that number one, you're not crazy, and number two is that could be an experience that you've had.
Right. Right.
And there was another case. I had a person that wanted to go um, into a past life,
Uh-huh.
and we would get that person more and more relaxed, in a deeper state of hypnosis, and then they started getting nauseous, And, we didn't understand that. We said, well, you want to try it again? Yeah, let's try it again. So we went, she started getting relaxed, deeper, deeper, and she got nauseous. In my mind, I saw that she had a protection, a psychic protection from her ETs to keep her from remembering her ET encounter. And I think it was good that she came to me so that I didn't push her into, if I would have cracked through that protection, it might have did some psychological damage. Who knows? I
Yeah.
don't know. So
Yeah.
I respected what was happening. And I suggested to her, there might be something that, you're not supposed to remember. And she said, yeah, I can relate to that quite strongly, because she encountered it twice, and it was only when she got to opening up the subconscious. But it was just in my mind, that was one very probable possibility for her, that she was an experiencer that could not handle it to come into full consciousness. So
Yeah. Maybe it just wasn't, like you said, the right time.
true.
Yeah.
True. Yep.
Yeah. I know. I think that we have, and you know about screen memories.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I have had people. In fact, I've had very few people come to me to uncover ET memories. One of the reasons is because I would always say to someone, um, when you open this box, it'd be pretty hard to close it again. Are you ready to open this box? Do you have a support system? Someone that you can, because, and I tell people, I'm not a counselor. Um, um, and would you have someone that you could talk to if you encountered something that, you needed to get off your chest?
Right.
So the couple people then that said, no, I'm ready, and we kept going. I remember taking someone, he had a conscious memory of something, and it would start out, I'm walking by this canal, I see two guys, they kind of look like, one's taller, one's smaller, and he said they look like homeless people, and he said, but something really odd about them, and he walked by. But feeling like something's not going on right here. So I said, well, okay, let's rewind to the point where you first saw them. And this is under hypnosis. And I'm very conscious about trying not to lead. I mean, that's one of the biggest arguments about recovering past events under hypnosis.
Right.
Is the skeptics say, no, the hypnotist is leading them. So I'm very aware of that. When I'm doing this kind of work with someone. So I rewind, he goes past, and I would ask a question, well, how much difference in size are there? Or I would ask questions about what he's remembering. So wait a minute, that isn't a homeless guy. That guy has really big eyes, and he would give more detail. But it's kind of like shocking, it's like, oh, I didn't remember that. So then we rewind again. And so in other words, the screen memory part of it could be what was projected to him from, let's call them ETs.
Right.
Part of it could be the conscious protection or self-protection. We want to make it something familiar.
Yeah.
Especially if it's scary.
Yeah.
So as we went through this scenario, he realized those were ETs. They were communicating with him. He saw a ship across this little drainage ditch in a field behind them, which he didn't remember originally. And just by going over it, asking more detail, these are things that came to him. So
yeah.
And the other thing too is you might get this same kind of a thing, but as a practitioner, I feel that people come to me because there's a resonance. I always say to people, well, your people talk to my people, and,
totally.
and said, yeah, he can work with you. You go over there to that guy.
Definitely.
And there are people that don't come to me, and it's like, that's fine. It whatever makes sense.
Yeah.
So
I've had people Go ahead.
No, I was just saying that resonance, and it sounds like
Yes.
you.
Totally. I've had people come to me and say, that I hadn't met before. You came to me in a dream and said that I was supposed to come see you. I'm like, wow, my marketing's really working overtime. Okay.
Yeah.
And I'm like, I don't remember meeting you in a dream, but that's awesome. So yeah,
Yeah.
our peeps are definitely working together.
Right.
Yeah.
So I'm looking to you. How are we doing on time? I'm going to let you drive
Oh
a
yeah.
little bit.
We got a couple minutes. I just want to mention one thing, and then we can finish up whenever you're ready. But the part about the screen memory and people not remembering things at the time, I do recall, as my memories were coming to me, that whoever it was tapping on my forehead and telling me, you will forget this, you will not remember this, you will not remember this, you will not remember this. And obviously it's I believe that when the time is right is when it comes.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And so it was Dolores Cannon's books, actually, especially The Custodians, triggered a lot of memories for me. Mm-hmm. Yeah. And Sherry Lynn's book, she has a book, and I think her name is Sherry Lynn.
Wildy?
Wild. Yeah, Wild.
Or something like that. Wild.
Sherry Wild, yeah. And her book triggered a lot of memories for me as well. But I should say triggered more memories for me, because I've already had a lot before her book came out. But yeah, things just start coming up, and I believe that they're protecting us. Most of them, not all of them. Some of them are just, because they're maybe not doing something that they should be doing. I don't know. I don't pretend to know the agendas. I just know what I've experienced. Mm-hmm. And yeah.
I know that there are different people react differently. If you read about Jim Sparks, he's written a book or two on his experience, and he talks about he had a lot of conscious recollection, probably because of his nature and his personality. He was angry at them doing this to him, mm-hmm. and that anger cut through their mental smoke screen, so to speak. Yeah. So anyway, just different people react differently.
Yeah, totally. And my memories were after the fact. Mm-hmm. And so, yeah. And it wasn't until I was an adult when I started having more real-time memories, but it still wasn't in the real time like this. It may have been the next morning where I'm like, okay, I know something happened, that type of deal. But it wasn't years later. It was, maybe a few minutes later, or a couple hours later, or in the morning or something like that. But it wasn't, real time like this. So I told them, I want something real time. And they're like, well, that's a process. That's a process. I'm like, okay, all right. Yeah. So Gary, thank you. Is there anything else you would like to add to our conversation?
Well, I just wanted to reiterate that your practitioner is right for you. As people are seeking the past life or the whatever experience, it's like I encourage people to look for that resonance. Mm-hmm. It works. I've heard a story where someone went to a person for the UFO thing, and that person was basically had his own agenda. I want to learn about these ETs by using you.
Oh no.
So it's, if you get that vibe from someone, yeah, keep looking.
Yeah. Totally. I know when I was going through my thing, when I was in the psych ward, and I didn't care who I told. I was, they were trying to get me to take medication or talking to me, and I'm telling them, I was blown wide open. I was telling them, I can't talk to you. I'm talking to my husband on the ship right now, that kind of thing. And they're like, all right, we have another one of them, but I realized that the people in the psych ward were the sane ones, and it's the people out here who are insane, right? Mm-hmm. Now, this is insane world. And so, And then afterwards, I tried to see a regular mainstream counselor. Just couldn't do it. After one session, basically, I realized this is not going to work for me. Yeah. And so when I started seeing an intuitive counselor and doing hypnosis and things like that, is when I was able to get better. You know what I mean? To be able to process.
Yeah.
What was happening.
And what for me, it's called, we normalize it. It is my normal life.
Yes.
And so I'm not being abnormal. I'm not being, it's me, normal.
Yes. Yeah, totally. Nothing against mainstream counseling. It just wasn't right for me.
Yeah. But there are some people with counseling degrees that are ET, I would say, qualified.
Nice.
So
Nice. Yeah.
but the challenge is to find them.
Right. Very true. Yeah. Okay, Gary. Well, thank you so much for being here today. Now, as always, I enjoy talking with you.
Same here.
Yeah, and I'll go ahead and close now. Thank you, everyone, for being here. I hope you enjoyed our chat, and we'll see you next time. Have a good day.